garage. We're at part 2 today, and it's a nice day out, no rain, not cold, and we're putting it all back together. So it's real simple. It goes in the same way it went out. Last thing we took off was the water pump, so that's the first thing to go in. The only thing that you have to do with the water pump and the new pump is going to be these studs that are on the front of the pump, and I did that before you got here. Right. But these studs were in the old water pump. So what you do is you take 2 of the nuts, you double nut them on, and then you can take the studs out. When you put the studs back in, a little drop of oil on the threads, and they turn real nice with your hands, and you only have to make them hand tight. They'll bottom out, and when they bottom out, that's tight enough because they will tighten when you tighten the fan back onto them. Right. All right, so you only got to screw the studs in. Just make them hand tight, and that's good enough. Then you're going to put a little bit of silicone or any kind of gasket adhesive that you use on the gasket surface. You put your gasket on. This particular application has this pipe that goes up. So on the old one, we took some heat, heated it up, got it out, no problem. Put some Teflon tape on, screwed it back in. We wire brushed it because it was all rusted and scaly. We wire brushed it and sprayed it with just some Rust-Oleum paint out of a spray can that we had laying around, just to preserve it a little bit more, because these things, when they rot out, what do? You get a leak, and then you got to replace it. It's a bitch to get off when it's in the car. Most people wind up cutting them here and screwing it off and using it as a nipple, then getting a longer hose to go on it. But being that your whole one is there, we might as well leave it. Then in the engine compartment, and I'll move the camera, we cleaned off the gasket surface, put a little silicone on the gasket surface on that side, and the silicone isn't 100% necessary, or the gasket rosin, whatever you want to use. It's just to help that gasket seal a little bit better. Water pumps, generally speaking, don't have a sealing issue. Usually the gasket will do it. I like to put it on just for a little added insurance. The bolts, right? Clean your bolt threads. Makes it much easier to go back in. If you have a tap chase that size, you know, it's a good idea to run that through it just to clean the threads out. And then I like to put, like I've done time and time again, a little lube on it to make it easier for the next guy, because that next guy, he might be you. And usually is you. Especially if you're like me that drives the car into the ground and keeps it forever and doesn't get rid of it. So that's what we're going to start. I'll show you what it looks like inside the engine compartment. Alright, so in here, we got our gasket surface cleaned off. We got some silicone on it. Doesn't have to be heavy. Just a finger swipe of silicone. Try not to get it into the thread holes. If you do, a little pick and pull a glob of silicone out. What we do have to do in this application, remember I said we had to loosen right here the power steering bracket. What we're going to do is we're going to take the screwdriver, we're going to stick it in here, and we're just going to pull it a little bit out of the way like that, just enough so we can slip the water pump in without messing the gasket up as we lay it in. Once we get it seated, then it's fine. In the yeah, any gaps in the thing itself.
Where's that screw?
Alright, you're just going to seat them, and I'm going to look up and see what the torque spec is on them. So you just, flip your thingy.
Oh, right.
Flip your thingy, just get them so that they're snug, and then we'll, no, two hands with the ratchet, remember?
Yeah. Why do they have to be a certain,
It's 25, it's actually 23, right? So being that we're using the old school kind here, right, we're going to go to 25. Alright, so what I'll do is I'll take this one to 15, right?
Right.
I'll do them all to 15 first. Right? 30. So we got them all at 15. We go. Almost 25. Right there. Okay. Alright, good question. Gordon asked why do we want to torque them, and you want to torque them because the torque spec makes the bolt tight enough where the bolt won't loosen up, where the component that you're tightening won't break, and where the gasket will seal properly. So 3 reasons. Bolts stay tight because they stretch a certain amount. So depending on the metal that the bolts are made out of, the metal that it's going into, and this is all factory original stuff, the factory says if you tighten it to 23 foot-pounds, it's not going to loosen up, the gasket's going to seal, and it's not going to break the component. So that's why we go to the torque spec. Otherwise you could do it by feel, which is fine. A water pump, you usually make them fairly tight, but if you have a torque spec and you have the room to do it, the ability to do it, you might as well just do it to the right amount, and it's just peace of mind. Now this doesn't, these 2 bolts don't tighten the water pump to the vehicle, they just tighten the bracket to the water pump. So you're going to just slide it down, right? Alright, I'm going to put this, so grab it on top, grab it right on top, good. Alright, that one's going to come there, I'm just going to start to lift it up just a little bit on my side, so I can get this in. Alright, a couple threads in, and you're good. Now come over here. I'll drop the bolt. Thing. You're going to move it over to me a little bit. A little up. Righty tighty, lefty loosey. If you're looking at it backwards, go the opposite way. Alright, so at this point, the radiator's in. Gordon's tightening up the latest bolt in the radiator. The easiest time to put the lower hose in. Get it on the water pump good with the clamp over to the radiator. And now we can work on the shroud and the fan, which is simple, just tricky because you gotta slide it all in as one piece, and we'll set the camera up so we can show you that angle as well. Okay, so I'm gonna take the fan, I'm gonna put it like that, you're gonna grab this, put it like that. Alright, what do you got? We're gonna slide it down. Let the fan lay in there. We don't want the fan to smash into the radiator, right? Because you don't want to bend the things on the radiator, and just like that. All right, now we'll take these 2 of these bolts, and we'll again only going to put them in. Actually, oh, there's no little clippies on. We got to take the clips off the old radiator. So what we'll do is we'll just slide the bolt through for now.
What clips?
I'll show you. There's a clip on the old. It could be, yeah. All right. Well, we were moving right along. You saw we got the fan blade in along with the shroud, all in one piece, and we go to bolt the shroud up, and the sheet metal type screws that were original to the shroud to the original radiator flange. The radiator flange had threaded holes in it, and this radiator just has big holes in it. So we had to get just look through the garage in a bucket of nuts and bolts, and we got 4 nuts and bolts that fit. Got the shroud bolted up. We popped that fan up onto the water pump, right? Got the nuts on, got it on, and I said, Gordon, go get some antifreeze, and I'll throw the belt on while you're getting antifreeze. We're on the home stretch here, and I'm looking at the belt, and I'm trying to figure out how it routes, and I realized we forgot to put the upper pulley, or the pulley on the water pump before we put the fan on. So while he was getting the antifreeze, I was taking the fan back off, and now we're out of time because I got to be somewhere. So we're gonna finish this tape. We're not gonna make a new tape. We'll finish this one tomorrow. We got like a half hour left, and he's driving this thing, and we're gonna finish it tomorrow because we're idiots and we ran out of time. All right. We'll be back tomorrow.
Be back tomorrow.
Alright, so we're back out here, day 2, putting it together. This is what we forgot to put on. That's the pulley that goes on the water pump, and then the fan that goes on. We put the fan on, and then I go to put the belt on, and I'm like, there's no place for the belt to go. So, I took the fan back off already before Gordon got here, and we're gonna pop this on, take the fan, put the fan on. The studs from the water pump go through these 4 holes, tighten the fan back up, and then we can put the belt on, and we will be on the home stretch. Alright, as you can see, there's not a lot of clearance between the shroud here and where you gotta get the bolts on for the fan. So you gotta be a little bit of a contortionist to get those nuts on. You snug them up. You really can't get them super tight until you put the belt on. So you just get them snug, put the belt on, and then the tension of the belt will hold the pulley in place, and you could just put a finish tighten on those 4 nuts.
Which way does it go?
Where you going, Robbie?
What?
Where you go?
Shower.
Okay.
Take a nap.
A nap. So just get the hose on. Put the pliers down. Get the hose on. Make sure the hose is on.
Wrinkles in the back.
Right. Make sure it's not wrinkled. Right. Should be right there. So, right. We're using universal green.
Universal.
Right, this way we
Make
can't
sure it's green.
screw up. We can't screw up
It's not
mixing it together.
brown again.
Now, one of the things when you were having that not overheating problem, but when it was boiling over after you turned it off.
Right.
One of the things on the Jeep forums that they were saying that is specific to Jeeps. Never done this with a Chevy, but they said to park it on a little bit of an incline when you're filling it up. Right. So as opposed to parking it on an incline, we can jack the front up just a little bit, and because they want the cap to be the highest point in the system. And I guess the problem is the top of the radiator is actually higher than the heater hoses over there. So what we're going to do is we're going to jack up the front, or the heater hoses over there are higher than the top of the radiator, I should say. So what we want to do is we want to bring the front up so that this is the highest point in the system, so that the air is going to work its way to the highest point. So we're going to put the jack under it, we'll give it a couple squirts, and then what will happen is you're going to get in, you're going to start it up, you're going to put the heat on high, and we're going to let it burp and keep burping until all the air gets out of it.
Okay.
Right, and then we know that you're completely full. So I'm going to move this channel on and I'm going to farm up a little bit. Probably getting right around 195.
Yeah. 195 right now. So you think it just went down?
Yep, it's going up.
Smells in there.
I know.
Well,
It's going to smell for a couple days. Alright, so put the antifreeze in. We did the YouTube Jeep special, jacked up the front to get the cap at the highest point in the system. As it approached around 210 degrees, we burped out a lot of air.
Right.
Alright, thermostat opened, it sucked it in, cooled it right back down, and I was able to add maybe a good quart and a half of antifreeze after it sucked it in. We put the cap on. We got a good level in the overflow. Well, that's the recovery overflow combo. And then we just let it get real hot, and it seems that it's not going over 199 right now, which is right where you want to be. And we're using the code scanner, the live data on the code scanner to determine the temperature of when it opens and when it closes, because those gauges on the dash aren't 100% accurate. So now, we got it as hot as it's going to get. We hosed it off to get any antifreeze that we may have spilled, either removing it or putting it back in, off, so that we know if we see green, we got a leak somewhere.
Right.
The only thing that hasn't been changed in this cooling system now are the 2 heater hoses, which look like they're in pretty good shape.
Yeah.
So, time to start driving it. You know?
Yeah.
So we're gonna let it swell right now, and what I mean by that is it's at its operating temperature. We shut it off, so the temperature's gonna go up and the pressure's gonna go up. And as long as the water pump seal holds, the hoses hold,
Right.
then we know everything's good. We don't see anything leaking out, we know we're good. That's why I wanted to make sure we didn't have any green dripping. 'Cause
Right.
now if we see green, we know it's a problem. But that's it. It really didn't take long.
No.
It was just our screw up.
Yeah.
Yesterday we would have been done
We've
in
been done
an hour
probably,
an hour yesterday,
Yeah.
and we really
2
weren't.
hours the day before.
Yeah, 2 hours the day before. We weren't moving fast. You know, I was showing him everything along the way, so it wasn't a rush job, and it really didn't take that long. It was fairly easy.
Yeah.
Um,
It was easier than getting to some of the other things we've got.
yeah, right. It was easier than the
Yeah.
oxygen sensor, and it was cheap. You know, $123 or $128. We got a whole bunch of stuff, and look, the camera's shaking again. You see that? Wait, I gotta fix the camera. This freaking thing's shaking like a. I guess it's time for a new camera. All right, look at that. We're not shaking anymore. Okay, that was all the,
technical
like you said, the
difficulties.
Axel's Garage technical difficulties. If anybody knows what that is, let me know. The only way it seems to cure it is to turn the camera off, take the battery out, and put the battery back in, open the camera up, and it doesn't do it for another week or two.
We're giving camera tutorials now.
Camera tutorials as well. You know, yeah, I probably know what it. You know, this is an old camera
Oh,
that I actually borrowed permanently from one of the guys at Axel's East,
okay.
and it's got to be probably 10 or 12 years old. It's an HD camera, but it's just an old one. It's time
Right.
for a new one. Time for a new one with a wider angle lens, just to get more in our frame,
Right.
and because sometimes we're a little bit wider angle. All right, but I hope you enjoyed it. Yeah. Hope you enjoyed what we were doing. We're gonna put this in the TJ playlist, and again, this was the radiator and the hoses and the water pump swap. I really did it. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give us a thumbs up. It's right down there. It looks like this, down there. All right? And if you like what we're doing here at Axel's Garage, please subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching.